So I'm delighted this morning to be with Sachin Vekaria. Sachin's been introduced to me through Tor Tess, who's one of the co-founders of Develop With Us. And Sachin works very closely with Tor Tess, and Develop With Us in acquisitions and development. Sachin, for the listeners out there who may have not come across yourself or even Develop With Us, how do you fit in? And I know you've got a deep banking background of
hmm
16 years, both with Lloyd's and other well-established brands such as RBS.
Yeah. Hi, Brendan. It's great to be with you today. Yes, I was in the investment banking world for 16 years with Lloyd's and RBS before that, principally in their finance, but also in their trading division. Before I left, I headed up a team in the valuations area. So that's kind of my banking background. I left that to become a commercials director of a glazing company for a few years before I joined Tor at Develop With Us. At Develop With Us, I look after the acquisition development side of things, where a lot of it is focused on the appraisals. So any leads or deals that we get in, my principal work is to appraise them and see whether there's anything we can do. For those of you who don't know much about Develop With Us, we buy and sell properties ourselves, but we're also like a hybrid finance development company. So we work with developers and owners and provide finance and structuring for them if they want to pursue their projects.
Sachin, in terms of deal analysts, and specifically about what you'll be presenting about on the 26th of this coming month of July.
Yeah.
It's amazing to think it's already July.
Yes.
Um, so on the 26th of July, just to share what you'll be going through in a little bit more detail about deal analysts.
Okay. So I'll be going through how to do firstly a desktop analysis on a deal. Um, s- because of the number of potential leads and deals out there, what we want to do is make sure that we filter through the ones which got potential, and quickly filter out the ones which just don't sort of cut the mustard. So we have what's called a desktop analysis. So I'll be showing how to do a desktop analysis, which is literally bit more sophisticated than the back of an envelope calculation, but it just looks at the key headline numbers required and to see whether a deal needs kind of more further looking at, because there's something that we can do. That will establish whether a more detailed analysis is then done, which I'll go through, and also how to do a full desktop analysis on that. A key part of that is how to establish the gross development value, or GDV, of a project. That's where there can be quite a wide range of opinions. So I'll be going through those main topics at the presentation.
Sachin, in terms of Brexit, which got me, interested straight away in terms of the questions we could cover today,
Yeah.
you see a slowing down of the market.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it's going to be a slowing down for a very short period? Are you thinking it's going to be a longer term period? Or are you possibly going to say you can't really confine it into, a particular time frame, because it depends on the location, first of all,
Yeah.
whether it's resi or commercial? What's your thoughts?
Well, I think, as most people will probably say, we're in a period of uncertainty for the next, say, 18 months, 2 years with Brexit. I don't think the recent elections here helped as well. The old adage that markets don't like uncertainty, and that's what's happened. Given recent events, there has been a slowdown in the housing market, especially in London. People say prime residential has been suffering for a few years now, and that's trickling its way down. That's what we're seeing. People, the asking prices versus what people are willing to pay. People are holding out a bit more. I think there's still, there's a lot of interest, maybe up north in maybe the Liverpool, Manchester, because of the yields and potential growth there. London, people I think are becoming a bit more choosy about the areas. Some people have talked about what's called micro markets, where there are still, small places where there's potential. Where, for example, Crossrail, a lot of that's already been built in, but that's kind of one example. So I think where we are in Develop With Us is whether the market's going up or going down, there are going to be opportunities, and it's just about positioning yourself to take advantage of those opportunities. The one thing that has definitely come into play a lot more because of the depression, let's say, on kind of house price growth is the need to be more innovative in how we do deals. And so there's been a large shift from outright purchasing, just because of the associated acquisition costs with that, to looking at more JVs, so joint ventures with owners. So still structuring deals which gives them, what they are looking for, but working with them, that saves a lot of costs, obviously. So, you're not paying the stamp duty up front. You're saving on some of the financing costs over the sort of period of the project as well. So it's as much cost saving as it is sort of creating value as well. That's kind of the way I see it for the next few years.
Sure. So you mentioned about JVs, you mentioned about micro markets as well, London, the affected Crossrail. It's an interesting time, as you say, because of uncertainty. I have to admit, I've got a fairly contrarian view, not myself, but one of my speakers on the 20th of July, who I was surprised by his thoughts and so forth. But, I've decided to bring him into the Central London evening property meet. Mm-hmm. You're going to be at the Central London morning property meet. So
correct.
It's at the Grosvenor Casino, Russell Square. So, Sachin, in terms of the deal analyst, you mentioned about is it an Excel spreadsheet you use, or is it something more sophisticated?
Principally, it's done in Excel. That's the easiest way to sort of build the calculations. It does all the formulas. We try and, it can be as simple or as complicated as you want it. I know some people look very kind of high level, and I know some people look at the real kind of details of the numbers. I think the main thing that I'll be presenting is highlighting what really are the key points, because potentially there can be some pitfalls if you ignore sort of certain calculations. They can have quite a significant impact on your sort of return on cost and your return on cash ultimately, and
Sure.
the profitability of a deal.
So, as I say, that's on the 26th of this coming month. Grosvenor Casino, Russell Square. It's a ticketed event. Underneath the video, there'll be a description of how to book a ticket. It's just £20 to attend. Or there's an option to come along to my meets, take advantage of the annual membership, which gets you my morning meets, my evening meets. Evening meets in Wandsworth, been going for 7 years. We're looking at the 8th year anniversary, to be fair, which is next April. And also the Central London evening meets, which have been going around for, I think, about 3 years now, because I noticed Luke Camel popped up on my LinkedIn profile the other day, and it said, 3 years, congratulations, Luke, being a co-host. So it's, LinkedIn given a reminder. Sachin, how can people get hold of you if they can't make the actual meet themselves?
Well, they can email me directly. My email is sachin.vekaria@developwithus.london. Brendan, you can share that yourself as well. So I'm happy to speak to anyone who's got any questions or is interested in doing some deals.
So Sachin.Vekaria, is that correct?
That's correct. At developwithus.london.
And Vekaria is a Vekaria.
Correct.
And Sachin is Sachin. Sachin, just want to say huge thanks for taking time out this Saturday morning. I know some of my listeners may be listening to this at another time, may not be listening over the weekend period, maybe listening to this maybe during the week. As I say, it's on the 26th of July. It's the only time I've managed to have Sachin present this year. So do take that opportunity. Thank you to the listeners, and thank you, Sachin, as well.
Thanks, Brendan.